friends, so today we are going to be reading a brand new book, and this book is called A Chair for My Mother. A Chair for My Mother. And the author of this book, the person that wrote this story, is Vera B. Williams. A Chair for My Mother. Oops, this book is falling apart. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school sometimes, I go and meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time, I peeled the onions for the onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. Every time, I put half of my money into a jar. There she is leaving work and getting her pay. It takes a long time to fill a jar that's this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all of her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push the coins into the jar. Sometimes mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she is tired and falls asleep while I count the money and put it into piles. Some days she has lots of tips, some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried, but each and every evening, every single shiny penny goes into the jar. We sit in the kitchen and count the tips. Usually, Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often, she has money in the jar. She has money in our old leather wallet for us. Whenever she has a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts the savings into the jar. I wonder what they're saving for, friends. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we're going to take out all the money and buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet and roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All of the chairs burned. So our sofa burned and everything else. This was not a long time ago. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. Those are flowers. She was saying she liked red tulips and I was saying I liked the yellow ones. Then we came back to our block. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. The neighbors stood in bunches across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's my mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida shouted, "She's here, she's here. She's okay, don't you worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her, but everything else in our house was spoiled. Well, friends, there was a big fire in their home, but everybody got out safely. What was left of the house turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into our apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny. The rooms were very empty. There's their house. It got all burned in the fire. The first day we moved in, the neighbors bought pizza and cake and ice cream. They brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us his beautiful rug. My mother's older sister, Sally, made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought us pots and pans, silverware, and dishes so we could eat. My cousin brought me my own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my mother made a speech. You are all the kindest people, and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we can start all over because we are young. Wow, the whole neighborhood friends came together to make sure that this family had what they needed after the fire. This was last year, but we don't have a sofa still and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet, she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins went into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. I never believed it would get this full, Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for nickels and dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them all up. On my Mother's Day off, we took all the coins out of the bank, and we went and exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair. There they are at the bank, changing their coins into cash, into paper money. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and small ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and harder chairs. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks and the 3 bears trying out all the chairs. They're looking for that perfect chair for their home. Finally, we found the chair we were dreaming of, and the money was in the jar. The money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck and to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. Wow, they still have so many family members and friends being such bucket fillers and helping them so they can get a chair again. I tried our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove because it was unsafe, but they let me sit in it while we carried it up to the door. There she is, testing out their new chair that they saved for. We set the chair right beside the window, right beside the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks to people going by in the daytime. Mama sits and watches news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her so she can reach up to the light and turn off the light if I fall asleep in her lap. Seems like they're really enjoying that chair. The end. Wow, friends, this was such a great book. Even though they lost everything in a fire when their house burned down, the neighborhood came together to help them bring all their happiness and things that they needed back. They were able to get pots and pans and toys, and then they saved up all of their coins to get that new chair. So friends, I want to know, why is it important to help other people? Why is it important to help other people? Why is it good when you help other people? Why is it good when you help other people? I can't wait to hear your answers. See you next time.